Hello, and welcome to another episode of Legacy Talks with Legacy Coach Kimberly. I'm excited to have you join me as today I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips that I used to probably transform my financial life. Welcome, great to have you. May I pause and just invite you to go ahead and click subscribe on the button below so that you'll be notified whenever I share new content. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you today because I'm going to be sharing with you from my personal experience how I went from being fearful, overwhelmed, frustrated about my financial life to now sitting in the seat of having total confidence and control over my finances as I build wealth and create legacy. Now, for those of you who know my story, it's not a secret that I've made all the mistakes you can think about when it comes on to money management. And so today I thought I would just share with you the 7 things that I had to do to take my financial life to where it is now, where I get to sit in the seat and support women who are feeling overwhelmed by life and money decisions to build confidence and create legacy. So welcome, thank you for joining. Let's jump right. So here are my 7 tips to regain confidence over your life and your finances. The first thing, the tip number 1 that I want to share with you is that you have to pause and admit that there's a problem. You have to get to that place where you say, enough is enough. You've been living paycheck to paycheck. You are drowning in debt. You have lost your peace of mind. The fear and the frustration and the overwhelm is starting to affect your health. You can't sleep at night. You are restless. You are edgy about everything around you. It's a sign that you need to pause, you need to stop, and you need to say, hey, I have a problem. You have to admit that there is a problem for you to be able to find solutions or take actions to remedy those problems. I had to say to myself, enough is enough. I can't live like this anymore. So the first is that you have to accept, right? You have to admit that there is a problem. You have to admit that this is not how you want your financial life to look, especially when you have people looking to you for support, for help, for guidance, right? Especially if you're a parent. You have to get to that point where you say, enough is enough. The second thing I want to encourage you to do is that once you've identified or once you've accepted that there is a problem, now you have to do some assessment. What exactly is the problem? And this is where I think so many of us fall short because we are afraid of looking at exactly where we are. We don't want to see because we know it's a hot mess, right? And I did not want to sit in the discomfort of where I was because I knew it was bad. I just did not want to see it. I just did not want to face it. And so for you to get some change and some transformation when it concerns your financial life is that you have to know exactly where you are. You have to know exactly what the issues are. A couple of things you have to come to grips with at this point. Now that you've admitted that there's a problem, once you're doing your assessment, there are a few things that you have to absolutely look at. You have to look at your debt. How much money do you really owe? Right? So you have to put pen to paper now and write them down. Don't leave it to memory because you're about to forget some of them. The moment you take that piece of paper and you take that pen and you start writing them down, you are going to actually realize that it's more than you thought about. And that alone is a scary process, but it's necessary if it is that you're serious about regaining control over your financial life. So you have to write down your debts. How many credit cards do you really have? How much personal loan do you really owe? Right? You have to write them down. Amount, principal, and interest, you need to know what that figure looks like. All right? You also need to do some assessment of your savings. Do you have savings in place? Do you have an emergency fund in place? If you do, you need to know what those balances are. Right? So it's time now for you to be in action where you are going to assess Where am I really? Right? So you write down your debts, you write down your savings. Do you have an emergency fund in place just in case there is rain? Right? Because you know rain is going to fall, right? Something is going to happen where you are going to have to spend some extra money. Do you have that money set aside? Mark you, if you don't, and you're really serious about changing your financial future, it's not a problem. We can put things in place to get this going. But again, this is where you are doing your assessment of where you are. So you need to be clear. Total debt, total savings, emergency fund in place. We need to know that. Do you have insurance in place or anything like that? So this becomes a part of your assessment to really get an idea as to where you are. So you've admitted that there's a problem. You've stopped to do your assessment, number 2. And then the third thing after you've done those 2 is that you have to now accept the responsibility. One of the things that I did a lot is that I blamed everybody, right? I had a business that failed miserably and I blamed the customers who credited my goods and did not pay on time. And so I was not taking responsibility to say I was mismanaging. I blamed, I pointed the finger at everybody else. And the truth is, if everybody else created the problem, then you can't fix it. When I recognize that if I did not take responsibility, then I would still be in the seat of complaining and blaming others, right? Because if they are the ones that are responsible, then they're the ones that need to fix it, and then I'd have to sit and wait for them to get in action for it to be fixed so that I can have a better life. And in my book, that does not work, right? So you have to now accept the responsibility that this is my problem. I created this problem, and so if I created a problem, I need to be the one to fix it. Is that the third tip is that you have to now accept responsibility after you've admitted that there's a problem, after you've done your assessment and you're sitting and you're looking at the numbers and it feels like your gut is going to fall out. Now you say to yourself, this is my responsibility, this is my fault. Because unless you say it's my problem, then you can't fix it. When you take responsibility, you're also taking ownership of the situation, which means that everything that happens from this point is on you. And this is where it gets exciting, because if it's on you, you have to create now a plan to fix it. The third tip is that you have to accept responsibility for where you are. And now that you've accepted responsibility, the fourth tip is that you have to get help. You have to seek some help, some professional help. Don't seek help from your family, right? You have to get help. I had to go out and seek the help of a coach. Actually, a coach found me when I didn't even know about a coach, when I didn't even know I needed a coach, because I spent 33 years on the planet just going through the motion and living paycheck to paycheck and just working and paying the bills, and I thought that was a life. But I met a coach at age 33 and he asked me, what are your goals? And I could not answer because nobody had ever had that conversation with me before. And it was that conversation that changed the trajectory of my life. I had to start doing things differently because I have somebody that is believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself, because at that time I was stressed, anxious, worried, frustrated, all the negative emotions you could think about. I was going through it because the debt collectors were calling me left, right, and center. I could not pay my bills on time. I could not pay my utilities on time. Sometimes, some days I didn't have enough money to buy food. So the pressure was on. So it was the connection with that coach that helped me to transform my life. And so you need to get help, because here's the truth. If you could have fixed your situation on your own, you would have fixed it already. If you could have done it by yourself, you would have blown it out the park already. There are some things and there are some seasons in our lives where we need to ask for help. We need to ask for support. We need to reach out for support. And you might be thinking, but I can't even afford to pay my bills. How am I going to afford a coach? How can you not get a coach? Can you afford not to reach out and ask for help? Is this how you want the next 10 years of your life to look, where you're still sitting in a seat of fear and frustration and worry, not knowing where your next payment is going to come from, not knowing where your next meal is coming from, 10 years from today, think about your child, your children. How old would they be? What lesson would they be taking from you? And there are some things that we just have to face it head on. So my fourth tip is you have to get help. You can't do it alone. I was so blessed to have connected with my coach back then, but also an amazing group of people that supported me, that believed in me when I didn't have the faith and the belief in myself. They rallied around me, they supported me, they invested in me, they encouraged me. And so sometimes you have to get outside of your immediate circle because, hey, if you're in a circle where they can't support you, then you're in the wrong circle, right? And so you also need to be able to develop the right mindset to take on this new task and this new challenge that you've undertaken. Getting your financial life back in order is no joke. It takes commitment, it takes dedication, it takes consistency, but you can do it. I believe you can do it with the right support. So you have to get help. Because now you're going to have to set some goals. You're going to have to stretch yourself a little bit. And the capacity that you have up to this point is not enough to get you to your next level and to your next season. So you have to get into that space where you're having the support of a coach and you're in a new environment and you are investing in your growth and in your development. One of the things your coach will get you to do is to start living on a budget. The first time I heard the word budget, I was like, oh my God, no, I can't spend any money. No, I can't deter. I was like out of my mind because I had a negative reaction to the word budget. The moment you understand that a budget is a tool that gives you control over your money, the budget is a tool that gives you freedom to spend your money, is the moment you realize that a budget will be your best friend as you are on this journey to recover and to regain confidence over your finances. And so your coach will walk you through a budget, right? That's a part of the process. If you don't have an emergency fund in place, your coach is the one that will walk you through setting up and fully funding your emergency fund. Right? Your coach is the one that will walk with you on that journey of getting out of debt, setting your emergency fund in place, looking at now, once you're out of debt and you have your emergency fund in place, it's now time for you to start looking at investment. It's all a process. It took me 33 years to make a mess of my life. And there's no way I could undo that 33 years in any 3-month program. So anybody you would talk to that they're guaranteeing you that in 3 months your life is going to be, everything is going to be okay and everything is going to be perfect and you're going to get out of debt in 3 months. Hey, you got to check that. Because I can tell you, it's not going to take 3 months, especially if you're in a deep hole and you need to plow your way out of that. It's a process, not an event. And so these are some of the things that having a coach will support you in this journey as you seek to regain control over your finances. So that was tip number 4. So remember, the first tip is to admit that there's a problem. Yes, the second tip is that once you've admitted, you have to now stop and assess. Where am I exactly? The third tip was that you accept the responsibility of where you are, and then you take on the responsibility now of where you want to be, because it's now in your control. The fourth tip, as I just shared, is where you get help. Get a coach, get a mentor, find somebody that will work with you, that will support you on this journey as you seek to regain confidence over your life and finances. Tip number 5, remember now, you have to be consistent in your actions. The coach is not going to do the work for you. You have to take the actions. The coach is there as a guide to support you, but you have to be the one to take consistent action. You have to be the one to follow your budget. You have to be the one to do your personal development. You have to be the one to ensure that your savings account money is being added to it every single month. You have to be the one to ensure that whenever you commit an amount to paying off debt, you have to be the one to take the consistent actions. This is tip number 5. Be consistent in your actions. Because unless you do that, this ain't gonna work. Remember, I say it's a process, not an event. And so often we get tired and we get bored of taking consistent action. We take action for 2 months or 3 months and then we go back. And that's why it's important in the previous step that you work on your habits now. You work on your mindset, because it's going to take a renewed mind and changed habits so that you can be consistent in your actions, because you're working towards a bigger goal. So that was tip number 5. And tip number 6, find your tribe or your community. And if you can't find it, create it. Because here's the truth. The current community and the current tribe that you are in, if we're to be honest, some of these people that we're spending so much of our time with are the ones that are leading us in directions and in ways that we don't want to go, because we're trying to follow our friends, we're trying to follow our colleagues, we're trying to live a life that they have, not understanding the cost that they're paying. And so if you're in a community where your goals and your dreams and your visions are not supported, might I encourage you to find a new tribe? And for me, I could not find one at the time. I created what I wanted. Yes, I had my coach and I really did have a community of people that I could depend on. And I feel blessed that I had that. But in the same breath, I had to also create some communities that I could run to, that I could depend on. I had to create some new connections and some new partnerships, right, that I could depend on as I went through this transformation journey. And I'm still going through it, because I'm not here sitting and telling you that I have it all together. I am still working and I'm still doing what I need to do so that I can create the life and the legacy that me and my family deserve. And so tip number 6 is that you find your tribe. Seek out your community. And if you can't seek them out, if you can't find them, create what you need. Because your financial peace, your peace of mind, regaining control over your money and your finances and your life, having the clarity around your money, right? Getting to that place where you're starting to have a positive cash flow. It is worth the sacrifice of going out and doing the work that you need to do right now. And so this tip number 6 is that you either find or create your tribe, or find or create your community, right? And the final tip that I'm going to be sharing with you, tip number 7, is that after you've gone through all of that I just shared, stay focused. Remain focused. Stay focused. Do not lose heart, because I know there are days when you are not going to feel like doing it. I know there are going to be days where you're going to feel lonely. I know there are days when you're going to feel as if you have nobody beside you. I know there are days when you're going to feel like you just want somebody to lift you up. But may I encourage you to stay focused. Be unmovable, unshakable in your commitment to create a better life for you and your family. It is worth the sacrifice. It is worth the investment. It is worth your peace of mind. It is worth you moving from that place of living paycheck to paycheck to having financial confidence over your money. It is worth it. It is worth getting out of debt and looking at your budget each month where you don't see a chunk of your earnings going into paying off a car loan or paying off a debt or paying off a credit card. But now it is going into investment and giving and stewardship, and it is worth the effort. And so I'm going to encourage you to stay focused. You know what you have to do. You know the commitment and the sacrifice that you have to make. I am here to encourage you today that it is worth the effort. It is worth the work. If you are willing to do the work, you will get the results that you are going towards. I can say that these are the things that I use to transform my life. When I say transform, I mean not just my finances, but my entire life looks very differently from years ago, because I was willing to go through the discomfort of the transformation process. If you believe that you deserve more than what you're settling for, if you believe that your family, that your children and your children's children deserve that you take the responsibility and do what you need to do to set up a better future and a better legacy for them, may I encourage you to apply these 7 tips to your life. Admit that there's a problem, stop and do your assessment, accept responsibility for where you are, get help. I can't stress this one enough. Get help, right? Be consistent in your actions. Find your tribe or find your community. If you can't find it, create it. That's number 6. And then number 7 is that you stay focused on what you committed to. Your breathtaking future awaits you, but you have to stay in the process long enough for you to see and experience the transformation at the end of this discomfort. I thank you for joining me in this episode of Legacy Talks today. And I do pray that you will implement these tips. They sound very simple, but if you think about it and take the actions that I shared in this episode, you will be amazed to see the incremental transformation over your life and your finances as you stay focused, stay in action to experience a different future that you are able to create legacy, not just for you, but for your children's children. Thank you for joining today. Again, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and share it with someone. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, as I will continue to share great content for you as we grow together, as we work together to support each other on this journey called life. Blessings, and talk again soon.